Hi, hey, hello. It is I, the real main event, the rogue soldier, but more importantly than that, I am the essential John L. Crossfire, and today you are going to be caught in the crossfire, but we will be caught in conversation. So without further ado, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of the podcast. I hope everyone's well, everyone's doing great. Nothing too exciting's happened in the last week since the last episode, so maybe a short one today. But before I get into the main portion, which of course is how I would book Ring of Honor's Survival of the Fittest 2021, I want to take a moment to mention just how much of an absolute banging film Cruella was. Now, I forgot to mention it last week because, I was talking about all the bad news and whatnot. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Gavel sounds. But yeah, while I was in Sydney with Mrs. Crossfire, we went to Hoyt's in Broadway, I believe. I don't know, somewhere in the city there anyway. And we watched, as I said, Cruella. And the core of the film is based mid to late 70s, so the soundtrack already is absolutely just amazing. Big oofed, as the memes say. Maybe I'm biased in that aspect, because of course 70s and 80s are my jams, especially in terms of rock music. But just anyone sleeping on Emma Stone or doubting her as an actor, they need to watch this movie because the character acting in this is just absolutely fabulous. Like, as a professional wrestler, character work is a very big thing, so I appreciated it greatly. And, they talk about actors bringing their characters to life, and she did just that. Like, there was multiple times throughout the film where I and Mrs. Crossfire said it as well. We honestly forgot it was Emma Stone. Like, she just brought, just a whole new thing to the Cruella de Vil character. Just brought it to life, where she was almost a real human, at times. Granted, I'm yet to see films, like King Kong vs. Godzilla, Mortal Kombat, Snyder Cut, etc. I do plan on watching them at some point. But I truly feel that Cruella could possibly be film of the year. And that may be overstating it. Again, as I said, I haven't seen the other films, but I haven't felt that way post watching a film in the theatre since I watched Avengers Endgame. And I used to go to the movies every other weekend when I was living in Canberra. No, not every other weekend, every other day rather. Just kill time. You've got a job, you've got money. What else do you do other than drink and do drugs? But yeah, I used to go to the cinemas quite often in Canberra, and as I said, I haven't felt that way since Avengers Endgame. And it may be that it's the first time I've been in the cinemas post-COVID, I believe anyway. I'm pretty sure the last movie that myself and Mrs. Crossfire watched in the cinema was Spider-Man Far From Home. I could be wrong on that. I hope not, otherwise she's going to be mad, but I believe it was Far From Home. And while we're on that subject, Tom Holland, in my opinion, is the perfect Spider-Man, the ultimate Spider-Man, if you will. Now, Tobey Maguire is a fantastic Peter Parker, but he was kind of trash as Spider-Man, in my opinion. Whereas Andrew Garfield, and this is no pun intended, he was an amazing Spider-Man. And he was a halfway decent Peter Parker, but Tom Holland is just such a great balance between the two. And, while the first Amazing Spider-Man film the Amazing Spider-Man film is my favourite Spider-Man film, which, funnily enough, also stars Emma Stone as Gwen, but that's not why it's my favourite. I'm not being biased there, I assure you. And then, on that same note, we're talking about Spider-Man. Michael Keaton as Vulture. I'm just going on a rant here. I'm meant to be talking about Cruella, but Michael Keaton as Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, the best all-round villain in the entire MCU, in my opinion, including Thanos. From the story to the performance, it was just great. But yeah, that's my rant on Spider-Man. Long story short was, Cruella, in my opinion, is definitely in the running for Film of the Year. And yeah, like, obviously I'm keen to see Black Widow, which comes out next month, if it doesn't get pushed back yet again. I believe the next Spider-Man film, Spider-Man No Way Home, is it November or December? I believe it is still in this year. I hope it is because I'm pretty keen. I'm also pretty keen for Loki to come out on Disney Plus, which is again I believe either later this month or next month. But yeah, just a little tidbit there. We went to see Cruella. It was absolutely amazing. Emma Stone's performance was just chef's kiss. Definitely deserves to be in the running for movie of the year, in my opinion. If you've seen it, tell me what you thought. If you haven't seen it, tell me why not. But that brings me on to the song of the week. Now, as I said, the main portion of this, I will be doing a how I'd book, not predictions per se, but a how I would book in my head in this little fantasy mark world of Ring of Honor Survival for this 2021. So, the song of the week is Something for You by David Rolfe, which of course is Adam Cole, baby, his Ring of Honor theme song, because he did win Survival of the Fittest in 2014. So that is my match, a ding ding, of the week, which is Adam Cole versus Adam Page versus Matt Sydal versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Roderick Strong versus Hanson, who is now one half of the Viking Raiders either in WWE in the six-man Survival of the Fittest finals. I'll get more into the rules of that match when I get to the main portion. Over in AEW, there's not really much news this week, but something that did pop me super hard, even though James Hellfire, because he's an absolute dick, love you, boo, if you know, you know, he sent me a message and spoiled it, but it still popped me pretty hard. A lot of people, they say that Angel Garza actually reminds them of a young Eddie Guerrero, and I can see why they make those comparisons. But if anyone, in my opinion, was going to be the next Eddie Guerrero, and obviously no one is ever going to replace Eddie, and again, possibly biased because he's my hero, but if anyone's going to come close, it has to be Andrade, and the fact that WWE released him, oh, excuse me, I'm going to leave that in. The fact, WWE released him, it absolutely boggles my mind. I feel like it's not even that him and Charlotte Flair are together, but when him and Ric Flair were on screen for those couple of brief moments, you could see the chemistry there, and you see the chemistry off screen as well on social media. So the fact that they didn't have Ric Flair come and manage Andrade just blows my mind. But yeah, the pairing of him and Vicky Guerrero, of course, the widow of the aforementioned Eddie, my absolute hero. I'm going to say that every time he's mentioned because it deserves to be mentioned. But yeah, the pairing of those two is absolute premier, in my opinion. And I truly hope that when Andrade goes over to face Kenny in AAA in Mexico, that Vicky is with him. And first of all, I hope Andrade beats him for the pronouns pal. I hope Andrade beats Kenny for the AAA Mega Championship, but more importantly, I really want to see promo battle between Don Callis and Vicky Guerrero. Like, I definitely, personally would pay money for that. But now we go over to the main portion. If this does run a bit short, as I said, I sincerely apologise, but this is how I would book Ring of Honor's Survival of the Fittest 2021. So we have 6 qualifying matches. Obviously, there's 12 men, so there's 6 singles matches, one-on-one, and then they advance to a 6-man elimination match, which is basically an elimination 6-pack challenge with 4-corner rules. Basically, that means it's a tag match, except that it is every man for themselves. And in the past, they have done Lucha rules. I believe they're doing it again this year. And for those that aren't familiar, Lucha rules in a tag situation basically means that if a competitor rolls out, gets thrown out, whatever, their feet hits the floor, another competitor is completely allowed to come in to the ring and take their place because it basically constitutes a tag by default, rather. I'm going to take a swig of water here. Just bear with me for a moment. That's some high-quality H2O. Little Waterboy reference for you there. Okay, so the first round matches we have are Flamita versus Ray Horus, which is on this week's episode of Ring of Honor, which actually aired today, so I'm trying to avoid spoilers for that. Brian Johnston versus Sledge will air tomorrow on Ring of Honor's YouTube channel in their week-by-week show. And in the weeks to come, I'm not sure what order they're going to be. Of course, it may have even been announced this week what is coming next, but again, I haven't seen it yet. So yeah, in the weeks to come, we have Chris Dickinson, who is, of course, in what's Brody King's group? Is it? No, it's not Violence is Forever. That's another tag team. Is it Violence Unlimited? Or is it the other one? I keep getting the two confused. It's Violence something. But yeah, Brody King's the leader there. Well, I think he's the leader. But yeah, Chris Dickinson versus O'Shea Edwards. Eli Isom versus Dak Draper. Bandito versus Bateman. That's Tyler Bateman, not Joel Bateman. And Danhausen, no swearing, versus Rhett Titus, who, of course, Rhett Titus is one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. He is a member of the Foundation. And I just want to give a quick shout out and wish his tag team partner, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, a speedy recovery. He was recently, he just got hit by a car. And luckily the car wasn't going crazy fast, but that's still, a vehicle meeting a human body. And, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So, he has updated everyone on social media. He is out of hospital. He is at home. So, yeah, I'm not sure of the time frame of when he comes back. But, yeah, nothing but, thoughts and prayers if you believe in that. But, yeah, sending all my well wishes to Hot Sauce Tracy Williams post, car accident. I'll start with this week's matches, just because, natural progression. So I would book Flamita to go over Ray Horace. And I think, again, as I said, it's already aired, so I could already be out of it. But I think Flamita will be the actual winner as well. I have two winners in mind, but for me, Flamita is the main one. But, yeah, the second match, I've got the Metalhead Maniac, my boy Sledge. I might be a bit biased, but I'd put him over Brian Johnson. That's Brian Johnson, not Brian Johnstone, as Danhausen keeps saying. I keep calling him Johnstone because of goddamn Danhausen. Would Danhausen consider goddamn as a swear word? If that's the case, Danhausen, I sincerely apologize. But yeah, I think Sledge needs to go over Brian Johnson because he's just had that mini feud with O'Shea, and I feel also on Johnson's part, his promo style is very angry and in your face and chip on the shoulder, and I think what would piss him off more than being eliminated in the first round by a relative unknown. With all due respect, I almost said Slex, who of course is also signed to Ring of Honor, but relative unknown to Sledge. It's a lot of words. I'd put O'Shea Edwards over Chris Dickinson. Now, Chris Dickinson won his ROH debut match in seconds via submission. It was a very, very impressive debut. But again, as I said with O'Shea, they've just had that mini feud. He just had that mini feud with Sledge over on week by week where they had the 2 time limit draws. Of course, they had, I believe it was a 10-minute time limit draw. They extended it to 15, went to another one, and then the third match ended up becoming no disqualification. And of course, O'Shea with the big air raid crash off the top rope. That's a lot of meat. The 2 big boys coming off the top rope through 2 tables. That was a fantastic match. Me and Teak, or Mrs. Crossfire, we enjoyed that match quite a lot. So I would like to see the 2 of them carry that over to TV and not just on YouTube, especially now that it seems that O'Shea is a member of Shane Taylor Productions. Again, I haven't seen what happened this week, so maybe there's a double turn, who knows. But yeah, as of now, it looks like he's a member of Shane Taylor Productions. So if he is going to be a member of Shane Taylor Productions, I feel he needs a very big breakout performance just to solidify them because, of course, they're the current 6-man champs in, Moses Khan and Shane Taylor himself. So, O'Shea is going to be a part of the team. Obviously, he needs to hold his weight. And honestly, I think Shane Taylor would be my sleeper pick. Not Shane Taylor, sorry, O'Shea Edwards would be my sleeper pick to win the entire thing, but we'll see how we go. I'd put Eli Isom over Dak Draper because he's on a roll. He had a very impressive victory over LSG, which kind of made the mark in me a little bit salty, but that's all right. And honestly, Dak Draper's the kind of talent that can lose and still be over. Like his whole character he's what is he? He's like 6'8" or something. So you might as well, say 7 foot. He's a 7 foot tall fuckboy, basically, is his gimmick. He calls himself the Mile High. Ooh, excuse me. Burp right in your ears. He calls himself the Mile High Magnum. And yeah, obviously his character work, as I said, I feel he can still be over with a loss. I'd put Bandito over Bateman, possibly with some antics from the OGK and, Vincent's Righteous Group. Of course, Bateman's tag team partners after the match. Maybe the OGK cost Bateman the match just to further their storyline. And I'd put Danhausen over Rhett Titus. Now, obviously, this sort of tournament, it favours Rhett Titus. It's right up his alley. But I feel Danhausen is just finding his feet in Ring of Honor, and just like O'Shea Edwards and Sledge as well, he needs that breakout moment. If they've put a lot of time into him, so this could be it. And of course, Survival of the Fittest. It's a wrestling tournament, but I feel if you throw a little comedy in there with Danhausen as well, it just rounds it out. You've got the two beefy boys, got some high flyers. Eli Isom, who's the young up and comer, he can wrestle his butt off. Why not throw some comedy in there with Danhausen as well? And also to Rhett Titus. Obviously, as I said before, we don't have a time frame on Tracy Williams' recovery and return, but Rhett Titus is thriving in the tag team division. Of course, they've just made it so that every tag title match is now a pure rules match as well on top of that. But again, obviously, being a member of the foundation, if Tracy Williams isn't back in time for the pay-per-view, someone else from the foundation could quite easily jump in there. I'm not sure how far in advance their tape Tracy Williams might still be appearing on TV, as a wrestler until we get to the live pay-per-view, but I guess we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just to recap, I had Flamita, Bandito, Sledge, O'Shea Edwards, Eli Isom, and Danhausen advancing to the finals for Survival of the Fittest 2021. I think Sledge and O'Shea Edwards are just going to beat the absolute crap out of each other. And there's that word again from the first episode, crap. I think Eli Isom eliminates Sledge after Sledge and O'Shea, beat the crap out of each other, crap. And I think O'Shea Edwards eliminates Eli Isom. I think Danhausen actually takes advantage, eliminates O'Shea, setting up a possible O'Shea Edwards / Shane Taylor Promotions feud versus Danhausen so that PCO can come to even the odds for Danhausen, because they have been teasing a team between PCO and Danhausen the last few weeks. And I feel, as a single star, PCO, it's kind of cool, but I feel the novelty's worn off. And I think, to bring, not everyone on that, not everyone in the fan base, are as familiar with Danhausen. He does have his hardcore followers. If you look at his Pro Wrestling Tee store, he's got Lord knows how many designs up. So obviously he's selling some merch. But I think to bring him into the Ring of Honor fan base, pairing him up with PCO, who is a familiar face, is a good way to get him over, as well as just give PCO something to do, sort of thing. But yeah, I think Bandito eliminates Danhausen, or Flamita does it, but it's off something to do with Bandito's offense, just to drive that wedge just that little bit further. So yeah, final two I have as Flamita and Bandito, because they tear down the house every time. This is not only just my fantasy book, this is my prediction as well. I think that Flamita and Bandito will be the final two. Again, I haven't watched, so if I'm already wrong, my bad. Could be Flamita and Ray Horace, could be Ray Horace and Bateman, you never know. But I think having Flamita and Bandito as the final two, they tear down the house every time they face each other. I had the honor of seeing both of those at World Series Wrestling, and Jesus Christ Almighty, nothing else needs to be said. Just anything they do, anything they touch turns to gold. So yeah, having them two as the final two would be something special, and it's a perfect fit for Ring of Honor and for the Survival of the Fittest tournaments itself. It's a showcase, as before. But Bandito goes over, but it wouldn't surprise me. As I said, I'm booking for me to go over. I think he's going to win, but it wouldn't surprise me if even Bandito ended up winning the entire thing. But yeah, as I said, it was a bit of a short one this time. I have actually just re-recorded this because the first one, full disclosure, went for about 14 minutes. I kept tripping over my words. I've had too much caffeine, and I just didn't want to put that out for you guys. Like, you've actually showed me support, which I'm completely grateful for. I wasn't expecting it to take off as much. Obviously, it's not the biggest podcast in the world, but it's taken off quite a fair bit to what I was expecting just with the first episode alone. The feedback's been awesome. Keep it coming. Keep commenting. Tell me your opinions. How would you book this tournament? But yeah, so just thanks for listening. Song of the week is Something for You by David Rolfe. And as I said before, the match of the week will be Survival of the Fittest 2014. Adam Cole versus Adam Page versus Matt Sydal versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Roderick Strong versus Hansen. If you don't have Honor Club, sign up. Honestly, it is truly, truly worth it. And even if you can't afford it, go check out Ring of Honor's YouTube channel. The playlist of full matches they have, they've actually just dropped a best of Survival of the Fittest. So that match might actually be on there. I'm not going to promise it because I haven't had the chance to check it out just yet because I've been watching stuff on Honor Club, as I mentioned. But yeah, go sign up to Honor Club if you've got the chance. That's how I'd book it. There's my song and match of the week. Go watch Cruella. Tell me who you think is the best Spider-Man. And yeah, catch you next time.